electric in this place. See, I heard a rumor that a couple 100 feet down the road, there's a party going on. I heard a rumor there's a bunch of people down the road that are having a conversation with this guy named Oscar. But I also heard a rumor that there's a person named Jesus that is having a conversation in this room, and it's far more powerful. And if you're down to do this with me, we're going to have some fun tonight. We're going to just create some space for God to speak tonight. We're going to open up our hearts and our souls. And Ari, I love what you said. That was so beautiful. You may be here and you got hope, and you need to give it away. And you may be here and you need hope, and we're going to give it to you tonight. And then we all could be a part of the same conversation together. Because what we do here every Sunday, it matters, doesn't it? And we need it, don't we? Let's pray. I'm ready. I'm excited. Jesus, you are just so good. You are the one that we need. Even when we don't know that we need you, you are always just pursuing us with your love. And here in this place, God, we have used our voices to worship you. We've used our essence to worship you. And God, right now, we want to pray that you would speak to us. Then when we leave this place, it would be our lives that would be a worship to you. And we are just so in awe of you, who you are, Jesus. So we pray that you would speak tonight, that you would silence all the other voices, and the voice that will be left will be your voice, whispering life into our soul. And we'd hear you saying, welcome home, welcome home, welcome home. We thank you, Jesus. We love you and ask all this in your name, and all together we said, amen. Amen. One more time, all together we said, amen. Hey, as you sit down, look at your neighbor and say, it's about to go down. Man, can I tell y'all something? Can I tell y'all something? I've had a rough week. Anybody else had a rough week? It's a few people. Well, let me tell you how rough my week was. Come Thursday, I'm here at Mosaic, here at work, and I get a phone call, and our babysitter calls frantic, and she says, here's what happened. In our front porch, we have a little radio flyer wagon with a pouch in it that we keep an extra key. There was a guy that came rummaging through our stuff, finds our spare key, walks into our house with my 2 kids and our babysitter. So our babysitter hears something, she rustles around the corner, she notices him, and she screams, get out! Get out, get out, get out! Which is a little ironic that today's the Oscars and Get Out is up for Best Picture. If you're recording, I don't want to tell you what happened, but you'll check it later. But she just starts screaming at him, get out, get out, get out. And he goes, oh, I'm so sorry. I was going through your stuff and I found the key and I just walked in. I was like, are you serious right now? And she just screams, and what we didn't realize in the moment is as he leaves, we have keys on our hook, and he also stole and took our car keys that has our spare key on, our normal house key, and then my roommate John Thomas, who's on the video, who lives with us, he grabbed his keys as well. So now this guy has both of our house keys and both of our car keys. And so I'm frantic. I just rush from work and I was like, Marley, what does he look like? And she says, tall black guy. Doesn't really help, all right? So I'm just circling our neighborhood looking for tall black guy. And I was like, Jamar, where were you at, bro? I don't know. What were you doing? And I just circle and I can't find the guy. And finally I come home and Marley's frantic and she's telling me what happened. So we call the cops. And cops take fingerprints. They bring a forensic expert out, and they literally fingerprinting our doorknob and all this stuff. And I was so angry. You ever just been really angry and just wanted to just do something? I was so angry. To have the audacity to come up in my house with my kids. And I just felt, and there's so many other things that have been going on that I just don't even have time to get into, that this week has just been filled with adversity after adversity after adversity. It's been filled with heartache and struggles and difficulty. And I feel like it's just been coming at me. And so what I want to take a few moments tonight and do is I want to talk to you about, what do you do when adversity strikes? See, what do you do when adversity shows up in your life? Because here's the reality. I want to let you in on a little secret. Adversity is coming your way. See, hardships are on their way. It's not a question of if they're coming. The question is, are you going to show up when they arrive? And we got to decide to be the people that when adversity strikes, we are going to strike back. And I want to go in the scriptures together and look at the life of this incredible man named Joseph that I feel like helps us when it comes to how do you respond when adversity strikes. Go with me to Genesis chapter 39, starting verse 1. It says, now Joseph had been taken down to Egypt. Potiphar, an Egyptian who was one of Pharaoh's officials, the captain of the guard, bought him from the Ishmaelites who had taken him there. The Lord is with Joseph, so that he prospered and he lived in the house of his Egyptian master. And when his master saw that the Lord was with him, and the Lord gave him success in everything he did, Joseph found favor in his eyes and became his attendant. Potiphar put him in charge of his household, and he entrusted to his care everything he owned. And from the time he put him in charge of his household and all that he owned, check this out, the Lord blessed the household of the Egyptian because of Joseph. This isn't even my notes, but I'm going to say this. See, if you are engaging with God in a way where you only want him to bless you, you will miss out on the most powerful blessing he has for you. See, I love this. It says the Lord blessed the household. See, if you will structure your life in such a way, where in the way that you relate to God, if he can trust you with his blessing, you have to live a life where you say, I'm going to give it away. And you're also going to go, God, I want you to move in my life, but not only so I am blessed, but I can be a blessing to others. And I love that the entire Egyptian household was blessed because of Joseph. And that says the blessing of the Lord was on everything Potiphar had, both in the house and in the field. And so Potiphar left everything he had in Joseph's care. And with Joseph in charge, he did not concern himself with anything except the food he ate. And this might be my favorite verse in all these scriptures. Now Joseph was well built and handsome. If we have not met yet, my name is Joseph Smith, and I just feel like it's accurate. I'm just going to leave that out there, yeah. And check it out, verse 7. And after a while, his master's wife took notice of Joseph and said, come to bed with me. Ooh, we getting spicy. You don't realize this is Real Housewives of the Bible right now, right? Come to bed with me. See, Joseph was sold into slavery by his brothers. Then he gets into Potiphar's house and he's under Potiphar's his master. And it says that Joseph, there's something about him that Potiphar could trust, that everything that was under his care, that Potiphar did not worry about what was happening. He said, I can trust Joseph with it. And it seems like Joseph is doing all the things he's supposed to do, and yet some way, somehow, life keeps coming at him. See, we think that just because you do the right thing means it's always going to be the right result. But he doesn't promise that it's always going to work out right. He wants you to make sure that you always act right. And when we do this together, he's looking for people that when adversity strikes, they do not become less, they become more. That they see it as an opportunity where God is trying to do something. So here's the thing. We're going to talk about a few things what we need to do to rise above, to elevate, to become more. When adversity strikes, the first thing that we need to do is we need to see it as a test. We need to see it as a test. That what God is doing is that God will allow things into your life. He will put his stamp of approval on something, that he will allow a hardship to come into your life, not because he's punishing you, but he might be trying to propel you. And God is creating environments where he's testing who we are on the inside. And you got to see it, because the material can be the same. That the situation can be the same, but it's you and I that could choose to be different. And here's a couple things, right? So she comes at him, she's trying to trip him. Here's maybe a couple definitions to help you with. Difference between a temptation and a test. Temptation is anything that tries to trip you up. A test is anything that tries to lift you up. See, a temptation, anything that is trying to trip you up, is trying to pull you down, is trying to cause you to stumble. And there's going to be things in your life that are going to try and catch your attention. But you need to realize that the situation can be the same, but if you'll see that God is in it, you'll see that he can use it as an opportunity to lift you up. And then you could rise above it. And what crushed someone else can actually strengthen you if you'll allow it. And adversity is the material that God uses to look for people that he can trust. And he's identifying, and it's a test. But you ever just felt like you've been in a situation where you're like, but I don't got it? I can't do it? Like yes, there's a pull to be less because it's easier. There's a pull to stop because I can. And this happened recently for me. See, we've become friends with this amazing woman in our community named Angela, and she works at Soul Cycle, and she has this class that is like supposed to be helpful, but it's also death. And she just kept saying, like, come to our class. You got to come, you got to check it out. Come to my class. And you ever said yes to somebody but didn't mean it? So I was like, yeah, for sure, totally. And I'm like, babe, fill up my calendar all month. I want to be busy. And she kept going after it. Come. So finally I was like, all right, I'll go. So I go to this class, and there's a group of us, and I did it. I survived. I made it through. I didn't die. I thought I was going to die 5 times, and I didn't. So you ever like accomplish something, and you're like, cool, I'm good. Never going to do that again. So the fact that I didn't die, I was like, thank God, miracle, still moving. Thank you, Jesus. I'm done. And then a couple days later, I get a text from Pastor Erwin. He's like, hey, Angela, she invited me to Soul Cycle class. Can you come with me? And we have like a standing rule in our house. Anytime Pastor Erwin invites or asks us, you just say yes, even when you don't want to. And he said, you come to Soul Cycle? I said, yes, sir. I will be there 9 a.m. sharp on a Monday. I cannot wait. So excited. And we go, and we're both terrified. And I've seen Pastor Erwin. He's 60 years old. He looks 59. Sorry, he looks incredible. Not yet, right? No, 59. I've seen him on the basketball court. I've seen this man fall, dislocate his shoulder, pop back up, hit a 3, and like stare at you like, yo, let's ball. Right? He is just iron. I've never seen him more scared in his entire life. And I was there with him, and I was like, you should be scared, because this is terrifying. And I was like, why am I here? I survived death once. Why am I back? And we're just going, and we're nervous, and the class starts, and we're just going. And like, I'm exhausted, and 10 minutes in, Pastor was like, hey, how much longer do you think we got? And I'm like, I wish it was like 10 minutes, but I think there's like another hour. And we just keep going. And every time I wanted to quit, I looked to my side, and I saw him going. And there's like, the most fit people on the planet take this class. And then you have Pastor Erwin just crushing. So I'm like, I can't quit. He's showing me up. I can't quit. So we're just going. And every time I want to quit, I hear Angela's voice say, you got this. Don't quit. I was like, don't talk to me. You don't know me. And so you got this. I'm like, no, I don't. I really don't. And she said, put movement in your pedal stroke. I was like, all right. Put intention in your pedal stroke. I'm like, I'm trying. She said, pedal for someone you love. I'm like, oh, mama. I do not know how I did not die. My heart stopped 3 times. I'm convinced. The most exhausting workout I've ever been a part of my entire life. But we made it. We did it. Pastor Erwin was way better than me. Yeah, you can clap for that. Yeah, we survived. But I'm telling you right now, if it was not for Angela speaking life into me that I did not know I had, I would not have made it. See, if it wasn't for her not giving me a second to listen to that voice that said stop, I would have stopped. But she understood that she was fighting for the hearts of people, that the way you do one thing is going to be the way that you do everything. And she would not let us quit. She saw something in us we did not see. That she said, this is an opportunity, this is a test. And it may reveal where you're at now, but it'll give you the courage to be who you need to be. And she did not let us quit. You ever, when you were growing up in school, remember that moment when you took a test and then the teacher brought it back? And you have that moment where like the 5 seconds from when she gives it to you and you flip it over, you just pray that miraculously you'll be an A. Anybody else? My prayer life was the strongest the moment I flipped out over that paper. I was like, Jesus, please. And some way, somehow, every time I turned it over, it was not an A. Because I think a lot of times what we want to do is we want God to cover for us when we don't do the work ahead of time. See, and what a test does is a test is not a judgment. A test reveals. And when you get a C, it's because you prepared for a C. And when you get an A, it's because you prepared for an A. And what a test is for, and what God uses situations to test us, is because he's letting us know where we're at. So then we have nobody else to blame, so that when we're not in the place that we want to be, we can't blame God, we can't blame others, we can't blame the devil. The only one we can blame is ourselves. And we have to deal with that. And God says, this is why I'm allowing stuff to come into your life. Because one, I want you to see that this is where you're at, but two, I want you to see that you're so much more than this. And if you will listen to that voice that God is saying, you're so much more than this, if you can let his voice be the loudest voice in your life, you'll find your why. And then you need to make sure always that your why is bigger than the lie. Because there's going to be voices that are going to try and speak lies into you, that you don't have it. You can't do it. That God has left you, he's abandoned you. And it's in this moment when God says, silence those voices and listen to mine. And don't let adversity cripple you. Let it catalyze you. Joseph is with this woman and she says, come to bed with me, trying to trap him. In verse 8, it says, but he refused. With me in charge, he told her, my master does not concern himself with anything in this house. Everything he owns, he has entrusted to my care. No one is greater in this house than I am. And my master has withheld nothing from me except you, because you are his wife. How then could I do such a wicked thing and sin against God? This is such an important moment there. He says, how could I do such a wicked thing and sin against God? See, what Joseph understood is that the way that we treat people is the way that we see God. And he realized that if I would take advantage of you, if I would take advantage of this situation, it would not just be me sinning against you. It would not be just me making a wrong decision against you. I would be violating the heart of God. And if you can live a life where you elevate your choices and you elevate who it affects, you'll find yourself far more often than not in the right situation rather than the wrong situation. And he says, how can I sin against God? In verse 10, and though she spoke to Joseph day after day, everybody say day after day, he refused to go to bed with her, even be with her. See, there's going to be forces and there's going to be hardships and there's going to be difficulties and adversity that's going to come at you day after day. That it's been watching you. It's been observing you. It's been noticing your tendencies. That day after day after day, it is trying to find its way in there, which is why it's so important that you make good choices and you work on your character day after day after day. Because if you will be the type of person that makes the hard choices now, that you realize that what God's trying to do in my life now is he's trying to forge inside of me a character that will be able to withstand the fire when it comes my way. And Joseph realized that something was happening that was bigger than him. And I love his posture. Because he says, look, everything has been entrusted to me. Potiphar has given me everything, that I am the most powerful person in this entire house. That everything I want, I have, except for one thing, and that's you. I cannot have that. You know, it's so sad. We do this far too often, is that we say yes to the one thing we can't have at the expense of all the things we already have. And we get off focus. And we are drawn to things that we know have no long-term gain. That we know will not lead us to the place that we want to be, but we get sidetracked. Why? Because we do not have a grateful spirit. See, gratitude will keep you out of situations that you never should have been in the first place. And Joseph can look at it and say, no, I've been entrusted with so much. God has blessed me so much, even in the midst of a crazy situation, that I'm not going to go there because I'm so thankful for what I already have. See, when adversity strikes, if we're going to rise above, yes, first of all, we have to see it as a test. But second, we have to appreciate what we got. Appreciate what you got, because when you appreciate what you got, you won't look for what you don't got. I know that grammar doesn't work, but we're going to go with it. Because when you live a life of gratitude, you know what gratitude does? Gratitude changes what you see. That you stop looking outward, you start looking for other things to bring you fulfillment and joy, and you look inward and you say, I'm so thankful for what I already got. And the more grateful that we are, the more of a grateful spirit that we live from and we create, the more, whenever adversity strikes, it does not cause us to be shaken, because we are not shaken by the outside. We're forged from the inside. And Joseph understood that there was something powerful that was happening, that he had to just keep going, and he would not be tripped up. He understood that God is so good, and he has blessed me so much. Why would I jeopardize all that? So you may be here and your marriage may be on the rocks. You may be here and your friendships are in chaos. You may be here and you're in a job that you hate. And you're just going, God, if you'll just change the situation, I'll be so much more happy. And then God's like, no, you need to change your heart. And don't worry about if I change the situation. And if you could just step into that and find a grateful spirit, then you will discover that God is pushing you to the point where he's testing you and he's seeing what you're made of, and he's seeing if you're ready for what he wants to do in your life. And then in verse 11, it says this: one day, he went into the house to attend to his duties, and none of the household servants were inside. She caught him by the cloak and said, come to bed with me. But he left his cloak in her hand and ran out the house. I love it. Ran out the house naked. Didn't matter. He just said, I know that I just need to get out of here. I know that I do not belong here, that I know what you're trying to do. I know you're trying to trip me up. I know you're trying to catch me. And so I see it. You see, we're never going to get caught up in a moment that we did not prepare for beforehand. See, what catches us in the moment is that we did not do the work for all the other moments before it. And Joseph did the work. He knew and believed that God was good and that God had his best interest and God was faithful. And so that was the fuel that allowed Joseph to stay the course. And when something came at him, when adversity hit him, when it tried to trip him up, he's like, no, I think God's up to something. I think God's doing something, and so I'm just going to run. I love that he ran out the house. Because I think a lot of times what you and I do is when it comes to those situations in our life that we know we shouldn't be around or be a part of, is that we have conversations with the person and let them persuade us rather than running away from them. And I love that Joseph was like, no, I'm not even going to entertain this woman. I'm not even going to let her speak. The moment she grabbed my cloak, I'm out. And I think for you and I, if we will have the same spirit, that when adversity strikes, when hardship comes, when people in other situations try to tear us down, rather than entertain those thoughts, if we will have the focus that looks forward and says, no, I'm not going to look that way because I know that God's moving in this way. And you'll find that God will put you in positions that you did not even imagine, couldn't even have dreamed of. So when adversity strikes, first, you got to see it as a test. You got to see that God's trying to see what you're made of. He's allowing things into your life so that it can make you stronger. You ever had that prayer, God, do something big in my life? But a lot of times I think what that prayer really is, when we say, God, do something powerful in my life, big in my life, really what we say, God, I want you to make my life easier. Because then when we say, God, do something big in my life, but then when big problems or big adversities come, we get scared. Or we shrink back and we're like, God, where are you? And God's like, I thought this is what you wanted. See, we want God to do a powerful thing in our life, but we want to remain weak in the middle of it. And he's like, no, the only way I can do a powerful thing in your life is I got to make you powerful. And the only way you're going to become powerful is if you go through some stuff. And I don't know about you, but I'm just tired of adversity and of negativity stealing from me years that God wanted to do something different. See, I'm tired of other forces trying to pull me down and make me less because I forgot the fact that God was trying to do something powerful in my future. And God has never changed. His intention has never changed. His hope for us has never changed. He's just waiting if we're going to have the courage to change. And he's looking for us to see if we'll have the material that we see it as a test and we allow it to strengthen us. So yes, that's the first thing we need to do. When adversity strikes, you got to see it as a test. But we also need to make sure we appreciate what we got. We live a life filled with gratitude, where we're not looking for other things to fill us. We just honor what we have, and we're thankful, and we're a grateful people. But the third thing that we need to do when adversity strikes, if we're going to rise above it, is that we need to make sure that we prepare beforehand so we're ready when it comes. We need to do the work ahead of time so that when that moment happens and when you're in the middle of it, when there's that voice that's trying to pull you down, when there's that voice that's trying to steal your intention, you do the work ahead of time so that you see it and you recognize it and you tell them, not today. See, I got ready for you. I knew you were coming. So I wonder what would happen in your life if you showed up before adversity did. If when adversity came knocking at your door, you was there ready and said, oh, welcome, let's go. See, when that dude when he broke into our house, he did not knock, I wish he would have. When he broke into our house, and when he stepped into our home, when he put my kids in danger, I was ready to do some stuff to him. I was ready to have a conversation with him. And I said, I'm gonna be prepared the next time we engage. And so I told Beck and my wife, I said, babe, he's got our car keys. He might steal our car, so it was like, it's time for Operation Sting 2018, full effect. So we have a huge dumpster in our parking lot, and I said, babe, let's put the dumpster in front of our car so that if he tries to steal our car, he has to move the dumpster and then we could hear it, right? I was a criminal justice major, right? You didn't realize. He didn't know who he was messing with. CSI up in here, yo. So I was like, we're gonna be ready. So the next night, 4 a.m., our son Indy just wakes up screaming, crying. My wife goes over to Indy, picks him up, is trying to console him. She's rocking him. She's bouncing him, trying to calm him down. And she's in the kitchen, and our kitchen window's open, and she overhears a voice outside. And she goes, I think that's him. And she rushes into our bedroom, and she goes, babe, I think he's here. And you ever had somebody like wake you up in the middle of a deep sleep? And she's like, babe, I think he's here. You know, I'm waking up, I'm like, who, Jesus? You know? I'm like, I'm not ready, yeah? And she's like, he's here. And finally, I put two and two together. I was like, the guy. And she goes over to the blinds, and she looks, and all of a sudden you hear the dumpster being rolled away. And then our car door is open. Homeboy's about to steal our car. And so I jump out of bed, and just being honest, I was in my boxers. So I wasn't fully ready. So I'm trying to find the closest shorts, but I can't find shorts. And then I wear contacts, and I can't find my contacts. And so I'm like, I'm like, oh, what do I do? I was like, but I don't want him to leave, so I just run out the house. And she goes, and she grabs John Thomas, and John Thomas runs, and we go outside, and the dude is by the door, and we go, hey! This is our line. Hey! Give us our keys back! I was like, you ever had a moment where like, I wish I could do that over again? Really? We're being that logistic. Like, can we please have our keys back? And we just scream like, give us our keys back, you know? And no joke, he goes, yeah, for sure. That's why I came back. I came to give your keys back. I wanted to punch this dude in the face in Jesus' name. I was like, bro, are you serious right now? And I'm so angry, but I don't have my contacts in, so I can't see. So I'm like screaming to the air, like, yeah, you, get out of here. And John Thomas is like, hey, he's that way. And John Thomas rushes down and he grabs the keys, and thankfully our car keys are on there and his car keys, and then just I literally yelled, I was like, don't come back. But I have like these short shorts on. I have no shirt. I've got a dad bod, and I can't see. The least intimidating dude of all time. I was like, yo, don't come back. What am I gonna do? And then we go upstairs, and the guy runs off, he leaves, and my wife is on the phone with the cops, and she's like, describe him. And I was like, he's tall, black guy. That's all I got. I think John Thomas is right there, and he goes, no, 6'2". He had an afro, 1 to 2 inches, curled on the top. He had a teal blue sweater, said Hollywood, black jeans. He had a cane, black Nikes. I'm like, dang, Sherlock Holmes. It's like, what? How in the world you remember all that? He was like, bro, I don't know, I was hype. It's the craziest thing ever. But I realized in that moment that I talked the talk. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna be ready when this guy comes. But the reality is I was not ready. I was shirtless, couldn't see a thing. I was not ready. You know what's crazy? John Thomas, that night, when he went to bed, he left his light on, and he went to bed fully clothed. Because he said, if he comes back, I want to be ready so we can get him. I want to be ready because if he shows back up, we're going to have a conversation. See, he didn't just talk about being ready. He made sure he did whatever it took to be ready. See, and I wonder for you, what are the things that you need to do right now? That you know God is up to something in your life. You sense it. You sense that he wants to move in your life profoundly, that your future is greater than your past, that God is speaking life into you and that you can sense it and you want it. But God's saying, the way that I'll know that you want it is what you do ahead of time. And that you put in the work now. That you do the hard things now, that you push through adversity now. So that when adversity shows up at your door, you are not surprised, you're fully clothed, your light is on, and you said, I've been waiting for you. It's time to go. Because you know what's crazy? Joseph could not have predicted what God was going to do in his life. See, Joseph could not have known that when he was sold into slavery by his brothers, you thought you had family drama. His brothers sell him into slavery, betray him because they're jealous of him. Joseph could not have known that his brother's jealousy would lead him to be the slave of someone else. And then he could not have seen that this other woman who wanted to just do bad things to him, this woman that was trying to tempt him, he could not have seen that God was going to use her destruction and her despair to put him in a position of hope. You see, if you know how the story goes, when Joseph runs out the house, it says the woman Potiphar's wife is holding his cloak. And she tells everybody, all the servants, that this man tried to rape me. That this man tried to take advantage of me and I had to scream to get him off of me. And then her husband comes home and he's furious because his wife said that Joseph had tried to rape her and he throws him in prison. See, Joseph could not have seen that his brother's jealousy and this woman's lies would put him in prison. And Joseph could not have seen that while he was in this prison, Pharaoh, who is the king of Egypt, would have an issue with his cupbearer and his baker, and he would throw them in the same prison that Joseph was in. And they would have a dream. And they would go, who can interpret this dream? We can't make sense of it. And Joseph would say, tell me about it. And Joseph would interpret their dream. And they said, it's obvious that God's hand is on your life. And Joseph said, I just want to ask you one thing. Will you remember me? Because I'm in this prison and I did nothing wrong. Can you just remember me? And then a few days later, it says they go back to Pharaoh, but they forget him. And 2 years later, he's in prison for 2 years because somebody lied on him. And he was in prison because somebody lied on him, and he was a slave because his brothers betrayed him. And 2 years later, Pharaoh has a dream. And he can't make sense of it. And he says, who can make sense of this? And the cupbearer then remembered, when I was in prison, there was this guy named Joseph. And he interpreted my dream. And he made sense of it. Maybe he could help you. And so Pharaoh summons Joseph. And he says, tell me your dream. And Pharaoh tells him his dream, and he tells him what it means. And Pharaoh says, it's obvious that God's hand is on your life. It's obvious that God is with you. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to elevate you, and you're going to be my right-hand man. Y'all, Joseph went from betrayed by his brothers to lied on by this woman to in prison to the Pharaoh's right-hand man. See, Joseph could never have seen that. Joseph could never have predicted what God was doing. Joseph could never have imagined that God was going to elevate him to the highest position in the land outside of Pharaoh. But I can tell you this without a shadow of a doubt, that if Joseph would have compromised himself with Potiphar's wife, he would not have been trustworthy with an entire nation. And what God was doing was he was allowing that to come into his life. That he was allowing difficulties and hardships and pain to come into his life, not because he was trying to punish him, but he was trying to propel him. He said, Joseph, man, do you know what I want to do in your life? Joseph could have never seen that. But I know for a fact that the reason Joseph could be trustworthy there is because he was trustworthy time and time again. And for you here today, I'm convinced, absolutely convinced that God has a future for you that will blow your mind. That he wants to take you to places that you can't even imagine, you can't even dream of. That he wants to do things in your life that will shake you at your core, that will inspire and bring hope, that God has plans for your life. But if you don't prepare for those plans now, if you don't prove yourself to be trustworthy now, then you're going to live your life living less and then telling yourself the story that God didn't want you to have more. And it was never that. God always wants more for your life. But what God will do is he will give you the life that you choose. And if you want less, he'll give you less. If you want to let hardships and adversity paralyze you, he'll let it paralyze you. But he'll give you the opportunity to where fear used to reside, now faith can reside. And I love the story of Joseph because it's a reminder to us that God is working even when we don't see him. That God's moving. That there's going to be moments in your life when you're going to feel like God has abandoned you. You're going to feel like he's left you. You're going to feel like he doesn't care about you. But what I'm here to tell you today is that it's in that moment when you feel like God is so silent and you feel like he's left you. Maybe it's not that he has left you. It's that he is trying to lift you. But he's not going to give it to you the easy way. He's going to make you go through some stuff. But the first thing that we get to do is we get to realize that we don't have to go through it alone. And that's his promise to us, that in the person of Jesus, that God himself would step into human history, that he would live a perfect, sinless life, that he would take on all the world's adversity, all the world's heartache, all the world's struggles and pain. And when he would allow himself to be crucified and killed, it was so that you could know that there's no adversity that you'll go through that he has not gone through himself. And then when he raised himself from the dead, it was so that you and I could know that he can overcome anything. That he is the God that can be trusted. And the God that can be trusted is looking for women and men that he can trust. And you may be here and you know that God is speaking and you're ready to hear him, but you've been running away from him and it's time to run towards him. So if that's you here today with every head bowed and every eye closed, we want to pause for a moment and we want to give you an opportunity to open up your life to Jesus. That it's the most important decision that you can make. It's the decision that will change your future. It was the decision that if you'll say yes to him and you'll receive his love, it can unlock a future that you did not even know existed. But you first got to take that huge leap of faith. You got to be a person of courage, and you got to open up your life to him with all your doubts and all your insecurities and all your fears, and let him fill you up with his love and his hope and his forgiveness. So if that's you here today, and if you're ready to give your life to Jesus today for the first time, what I want you to do is pray this prayer. Just say, Jesus, I give you my life. That's it. And it's in that moment when you give Jesus your life and he gives you his, and you are the better for it. Jesus, I give you my life. That you may have come in here filled with anxiety and despair and hopelessness, but when you give him your life, he gives you back his life that is filled with optimism and hope and life. Jesus, I give you my life. If you're here and you're just done letting your life be a burden and a weight, and it just is carrying, it's so heavy, and you're just ready to say, God, if you're out there, I want you to take it away. All you got to do is say, Jesus, I give you my life. If that was you here today and you prayed that prayer, I want to pray over you. I want to pray that God would move in your life in a profound way, that he would speak to you, but I first want to see you. So if you prayed that prayer right now, Jesus, I give you my life, I want you to raise your hand as high as you can. Yes, I see you. Yes, I see you. Anyone else right now, you just raise your hand. This is between you and God. That you are saying, Jesus, I need you. Jesus, I'm ready. Anyone else, if your heart is beating inside of your chest, that's how you know it's you. Jesus, I give you my life. Yes, that's beautiful. Father, with every hand held high in this place, I thank you that they had the courage in this moment to reach out and say, God, I'm ready to let your love consume me. I'm ready to let your love heal me. I thank you that you did not see them at their worst, but you pulled out their best. And God, this room is a room that maybe was filled with fear when we walked in, but we're going to leave it as a room that's filled with faith. And we want you to know, God, that wherever you need to say to us, whatever you need to do to us, we're listening. And I pray that these amazing women and men would be filled with your presence. And when they walk into rooms, people would ask, what has happened to you? What has gone on in your life? What is different about you? And it could be your light that they could share, and it could bring them hope. God, I pray that this week they would feel you like they've never felt you before. God, we thank you so much. We love you. You are so good. And we ask all this in the name of your son, Jesus. Amen. Amen. Hey, can we thank God for everybody that raised their hand tonight? So beautiful, so powerful. Welcome home. Welcome to the tribe. It's the best decision you have ever made in your entire life. Mosaic 2018, can you sense it? Can you feel that God is moving in a profound way? See, we just this year, 2017-18, started a campus in South Pasadena. See, this year, we just started a campus in Venice. You see, this year, we are about to start a campus in Orange County and Mexico City, and we are just getting started. See, I am convinced that God is like, you have no idea what I want to do through you. You have no idea where I want to take you and what I want to make happen in this place. But the question never is God going to move? Is are we going to move with him? So Mosaic, I got a question for you tonight. I've got a question that I want to ask you, that I know that adversity is going to come your way, that I know hardships are going to come and try and steal your future, and I know that there's going to be voices that are going to try and make you less, but the question that I got, and I want you to answer, is when adversity strikes, are you going to strike back? Come on.
You are my hope, you are mine, you are
cannot walk. I'm just blown away. I've been blown away all day. Can we give it up for Pastor Joe Smith? He just brought it every time. 5 gatherings. I'm like, I don't know how Pastor Erwin does it. I don't know how you do it, but that was so beautiful. He just laid it out so that we could find Jesus and know what it looks like to fight adversity. And then there's people here today that you raised your hand to give your life to Jesus, and we want to celebrate with you because that is the best decision you've ever made. It will be so incredible in the journey you're in, and we want to give you this gift. This Bible is incredible because it is stories upon stories of people who have gone up against adversity and found victory in their life. So read this, pull this into your life, and get connected to Jesus. And know in the back of it, it says you belong here, because we want you to know that you belong here. This is your family. And if you've ever doubted where you belong in the city of Los Angeles, this is it. This is your home. So welcome home. And next Sunday, we have, after the 12 p.m., a growth track. That's for people, if you just want to get interested in Mosaic, you want to get in serving, you want to be a part of it, you just want to find out what it's like to know Jesus. Like, now I've said yes to Jesus, but what I do next. And also next Sunday, we have baptism, so that may be you. Get connected. Come on, be a part of who we are, what we're doing here in Los Angeles. And then, big thing, Easter. Easter's going up. And we have 5 campuses, 5 different locations. So it is big this time. We've got so many, we just don't even know how to keep count. So if you want to know the times and gatherings of locations, then go to mosaic.org Easter and find out where they are, and then invite your friends. Start inviting them now and pray for them, because they need to be in the room. When they're in the room, then Jesus can get a hold of them. But if they're not in the room, then what are we going to do? So invite them, invite your friends. We love you. Just have the most incredible week, and we'll see you next Sunday. Bye.